The Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. Now large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and said to them, "Whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not first sit down and estimate the cost to see whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to ridicule him, saying, 'This fellow began to build and was not able to finish.' Or what king going out to wage war against another king will not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to oppose the one who comes against him with 20,000? If he cannot, then, while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for the terms of peace. So therefore none of you can become my disciple if you do not give up all your possessions." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Did Jesus really just say that? Whoever does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Is this really the same Jesus who heals the sick, mingles with outcasts, and dines with tax collectors and sinners, who proclaims release for the captives and freedom for the oppressed, and who just verses before told a parable about how there's a place for everyone, and everyone has a place at God's banquet table? Whoever does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Doesn't sound very Jesus-like. Now, in one sense, we're accustomed to the kind of hate that we casually throw around. For example, I hate green beans, as if to say I detest them and avoid them at all costs. In a far more sinister way, it is this sense of hatred that pervades our world everywhere, from more than a few church pulpits to the Oval Office. Except we're not talking about the vegetables we detest, but the people who are subject to hate. Our fellow human beings who are queer and trans, black and brown, foreign and undocumented, who might speak a different language than we do, who look or believe or vote differently from us. To be perfectly clear, this kind of hatred is incompatible with the reign of God. So what then does Jesus mean when he suggests that we need to hate these things? Parents, siblings, partners, children, even life itself, in order to be his disciples. In another sense, the word Jesus uses for hate here has more to do with how we prioritize people and things. Ranking our priorities necessarily means that some things are higher on the list than others. You can't have 10 number one priorities, but at the same time, it also doesn't mean that priorities 2 through 10 aren't important either. This is about the moral choices we make that stem from our values about where we invest our time and energy. And by extension, it also means rejecting those things, racism and bigotry and all the other various phobias and isms that are incompatible with the reign of God. Jesus isn't advocating here for hatred and hostility in the common way we so casually throw it around. Instead, I think he's urging us to consider what and who we value. Whoever values anything else more than you value following me cannot be my disciple. Jesus' directive might sound harsh, but this is hyperbole. It's an exaggerated extreme to get a point across. Jesus wants our full attention and allegiance. You're either all in or you're not. No one can serve two masters. Just because Jesus demands our full attention, though, it doesn't mean our community, parents, siblings, partners, children, friends, strangers, isn't important. Just the opposite. Following Jesus, who healed the sick, mingled with outcasts, dined with tax collectors and sinners, and called for the liberation of the oppressed, will necessarily demand a shifting of our priorities. To advocate for the safety and well-being of the community, especially those who are most vulnerable, until all indeed have a place at God's banquet table. That's a tall order and a daunting call. The late theologian James Cone puts it this way in a quote that I turn to time and time again. He says, "If you are going to worship somebody that was nailed to a tree, you must know that the life of a disciple of that person is not going to be easy." Jesus goes on, "Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not bear the burden of bearing their siblings' burdens, of standing in solidarity with those whom the world hates, cannot be my disciple." You might be thinking there's no way you can live up to that calling. You might even want to run as fast as you can in the opposite direction. But here's the thing. Because Jesus wants our full attention, he also invites us to bring our full selves, the best and the not so great. Jesus didn't interview his disciples before he called them. He just called them where they were, as they were. Jesus calls us from where we are, as we are. Jesus calls broken and flawed people who are also beautiful and uniquely gifted. And he calls us together to this holy and important work. Jesus calls us now to the work of justice that prioritizes the reign of a God who prioritizes the least of these. Jesus calls us. Whoever has love for me and for those whom I love, who carries the cross and shares with me in the burdens and tears of all this hurting world, is indeed my disciple.